elevate your life with this episode of Lifestyle and Success with Dr. S. Hey friends, Dr. S here. You know, one thing that I love about this show is that it shows anyone and everyone that regardless of what background you have, what different experiences you have had, and who you are, that you can obtain your level of success. I've been getting some really positive feedback from the business tips that you've been getting and the lifestyle hacks that I've been loving. And so I have to tell you, if you are feeling this community, to subscribe to the talk show and never miss a beat, head to lifestyleandsuccesswithdrs.com. And today's guest is coming up next. So today I have a superstar professional athlete joining us, Rebecca Rusch. She is a 7-time world champion mountain bike Hall of Famer. She's the author of Rush to Glory. She's an Emmy Award winner for Blood Road and creator of the Be Good Foundation. Rebecca's going to talk to us today about how to push your body and mind beyond its limits, and also give us a little bit of glimpse into what she did to rise to the top. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So excited to have you. So give us your story. How did you get to where you are today? Please give us the goods.
All right, I'll try to give you a brief lowdown. But I am a professional athlete, and I'm 53 years old and still competing at a high level, doing mostly ultra endurance cycling. And I've been a rock climber, kayaker, runner, paddler, and mountain biker, adventure racer. So I've done a lot of different sports, all really with the theme of exploring. And so people often will ask, well, why did you change sports so many times, or even genres of cycling? And really, the common theme that runs through it is exploration in the outdoors. And yes, I'm a professional athlete, but I feel that that's expanded beyond kind of exploring the outdoors, but also exploring myself and feeling like the ultra endurance sports I do, which I'll give you a little context, are often multi-day, self-supported. For example, last winter, riding the Iditarod Trail, the famous dog sled race, but on my bike, self-supported in the middle of winter in Alaska. Those are the kinds of things I do, that take 6-10 days, pushing the body and the mind really to the limit. And I've been able to make a career out of that, which has been fantastic and a lot of hard work. But I think it really started with me as a kid. I grew up in Downers Grove, Illinois, in the suburbs. And I was always just curious, being outside. I wanted to camp in the backyard when I was young, and my mom would always take us in the summers. Our vacations were to national parks, and I always just loved being outside and moving in the outdoors and playing in the dirt. And so I've been able to take that passion and curiosity and extend it into a career that includes a foundation and includes an athletic career. But it's been a long, rough, rocky road, but one that I feel like I'm still that kid who wants to explore and wants to see what's over the next mountain range, or, down the next river, around the next corner.
Beautiful. Now, what did you think you'd be doing when you grew up? Like, did you have a hunch that you'd be a professional athlete?
No. And I still, when I write down, you write on a form, what is your profession? And you've got to check some little box. I still kind of laugh to write down professional athlete, because I was that kid and young adult who had no idea. My sister, conversely, she knew from age 10. She wanted to go into the medical field. She went into dentistry. She's a 2-star general in the Air Force, in the medical branch, and she knew as a young age, and I stressed about it. I'm like, Sharon already knows what she wants to do. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. And I really struggled with that as a kid. And in high school, I remember I got a scholarship to University of Illinois, which is a really good school near where I was. And because I had good grades, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so my high school counselor, I really appreciated the advice. She said, you know what, just enter into the business school because you've got the grades to get in there, and everything in the world is related to business. So just don't do general, go into, or liberal arts, go into the business school. And that was really great advice at that time for somebody who, didn't have a 5-year, 10-year, whatever plan. I've never been a planner like that. And so I went into the business school, and I found that, I didn't really resonate with the numbers and accounting and statistics so much, but I did resonate with the marketing and just thinking up creative ideas of how to sell something or move something. And so I focused in a marketing degree. I was also a runner in college, so on a sports team, and kind of focused in marketing only because it came naturally, not because it was something that I knew I wanted to do. So after college, I kind of how can I combine? I love sports. How can I combine marketing and sports together? And so I started looking into the health club industry and working in health clubs and gyms. And I did that for a little while. But still, it was I was in downtown Chicago, helping work in a really fancy, schmancy health club. And it was okay. But, just watching people and helping people run on a treadmill, it really didn't sort of serve that outdoor curiosity for me. And so I ended up leaving Chicago, heading out west, doing a lot of rock climbing, and then ended up working in climbing gym communities and helping open rock climbing gyms in California. And so that was the dream job. That was the trajectory for me of combining a degree with a sport that I loved. And I thought I was set until I was getting some invitations to do a sport called adventure racing. So that was, I don't know if anyone remembers watching Eco Challenge. They're basically a genre of sport where you run, you bike, you paddle, you ride horses, you climb, all in teams of 4, and you're navigating the whole way. And so I did a lot of sports and got invited to do some of those teams. And that is really what started my professional athlete career is, I decided, okay, I'll go on this one team. And the teams were co-ed. So you had to be co-ed. And usually that meant that there was 1 woman and 3 guys. And so women who could do a lot of sports at that time were, it wasn't as common as it is now. And so I got invited to do these adventure racing races, and they're travel the world, Australia, Morocco. And so I said yes to them mostly because that same kid in me was I'd love to travel if this is a way to travel. So I was able to use my body as a tool for that. And I thought it would just be kind of a little short-lived excursion, but that turned into a 10-year career of all of a sudden I was getting on teams. I started my own team. I started a women's team. And all of a sudden I was using my marketing degree to solicit sponsorship and, do a website and do updates from our races. And so that, blossomed into a career that is still going and has transitioned into cycling, transitioned into adventure athletics. And I call myself now, instead of an athlete, actually an explorer, because I feel like what I'm doing is athletics are part of it, but it's actually a bigger exploration of the world, of myself, and of how to share the lessons that I learned on the trail and bring that to other people. And that's really how my business has shaped in the last sort of 10, 15 years, is that yes, I'm an athlete and I use my ultra endurance platform as my teacher, really, but shaping the business where I can bring those lessons from the trail to other people through a book, through the film, through my foundation, and then also encouraging and getting more people outside on the bicycle or on foot or in a kayak, whatever it is.
In the beginning of the interview, you said that you are 53. Is that right?
That's right.
And you are still climbing and achieving these really big goals. And I'm wondering, why did you keep going? At what point did you feel like, I could quit right now, but I'm going to hang in there and I'm going to make even my age a goalpost? What was that like for you?
That's a really good question. And, there have been choosing a life of a professional athlete or an entrepreneur or both is not an easy path, as many of your listeners know, and as you know, that there are easier paths to make more money or have more security, or, there's easier career paths to go down. But for me, I think the curiosity is what kept leading me and kind of not having a 5 or 10-year plan, of just being open to an opportunity that came up, being invited to go to Morocco to race, being invited to go paddle, with the women's whitewater rafting team in the U.S., and being sort of free enough, well, yeah, I'll try that. And if it doesn't work, I can always go back and get a regular business marketing job. So I had a bit of a safety net, with my degree and, I didn't have any school debt. So I think part of it was being open to try things and, and it's never too late to keep doing that. And I would say the common theme throughout my career is adaptation, and that it has changed from different types of sports, but also adapting to what does it mean to be a professional athlete. We have this vision, we watch the Olympics or whatever, we have this vision that there is this timeline for people as in a career and in an athletic career that, maybe you get an Olympic medal or a world championship and then you retire and maybe you sell frying pans on TV or something like that, or you endorse something. But for me, I kept trying to stay open to the fact that I knew I wanted to explore. I knew I loved using my body and being outside, and could I turn that into a business platform? And it's worked. I think mostly because I've tried to have an entrepreneurial mind about it and be creative about it. But absolutely, there are times I wanted to quit and stop and it'd be so much easier, to do something else. But I think we all know the things that sort of the biggest mountains that we climb, the hardest things we tackle are the ones that have the potential to have the biggest reward. And the fact that I was able to shape, and still am shaping, a career based on that little kid who wants to explore in the outdoors, I'm pretty proud of that. But yeah, it's been a hard road that required a lot of resilience. And I think what kept me in it is my love of the outdoors, and that I realize I'm happiest when I'm moving. I'm happiest when I get to go exploring. And so the thought of taking that away from my lifestyle wasn't something I wasn't willing to make that sacrifice. So I made other sacrifices like health insurance or living out of my car, or, a smaller paycheck or really unreliable paychecks, and, sponsorships and trying to renew contracts every year. It's not a reliable. I mean, you could win everything that you set out to do, and still, in essence, lose your job the next year with not like having an office job or a more traditional job that has a lot more security. And, I'm glad I didn't give into it, because I've been able to create something that suits me. And I think, if people are listening, not everyone can go do what I do, and that's fine. And that's partially why I feel compelled to share my stories, because not everyone's going to go ride the Iditarod Trail or swim the Grand Canyon or do things like that. But perhaps my stories of that can encourage somebody to be in the outdoors a little bit more each day, or to take a career risk that they didn't think was possible. And there's a reason that we all love to watch, like the Olympics, for example, and we hear the stories and we love watching the sport, and we feel for the person who lost and we celebrate for the person who won, and we see how hard the athletes work. And there's a reason so many people, love to watch sport, is because it's such a great example of life, of failures, wins, teamwork, being alone, being cold and hungry. And everyone resonates with that because we want to learn from that in our own lives.
When you have experienced hurdles in your many different segments of life where you've won these awards, which is like incredible, what hurdles do you feel like arose in those processes that you have applied to your regular life? So, I know there's a system and there's a science to like pushing your body to its next level, but I'm just wondering for you, like, do you have any of those moments that have specifically stuck out?
Yeah, I'll use the Iditarod Trail again as an example. A couple years ago, I went to that race 3 years ago, and being cold is not really my forte. And I was really scared of winter expeditions, but I decided I needed to go do one because of the commitment factor of being in the elements where there really isn't a lot of room for error. And so, yes, physical preparation is required, but it's also a really high level of commitment, being in temperatures that are minus 40 degrees, self-supported. If you make a mistake, you lose fingers and toes. And so I went to that event terrified, but knowing that the commitment would make me rise to the occasion. And I think that's something to take from, and lesson for me, is continuing to push sort of what your expectation of what you're capable of to continue to push beyond that. And I think often we underestimate what we're really capable of. And so I went to the Iditarod. I went to Alaska in the winter at age 50 for the first time and completed the event, but was a mess. And I finished it, but was really like a sobbing, pathetic mess at the finish line because I was physically broken, because I wasn't ready for that kind of commitment. So I went back year number 2 and was super ready. My coach got me ready. I studied nutrition. I studied the maps. I really planned, and I got there in 30 minutes into the event. I was ready. I was going to win the thing overall, and got into the race, and half an hour in made a navigational error that basically cost me 6 hours, cost me the race. And I stood at that intersection crying with tears freezing on my face and thinking I was so ready, I was going to win this thing, and really had to stand there by myself in Alaska and say, well, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to go back to the finish, which is only 30 minutes away, or to the start, and quit and throw it in? Or are you going to pick yourself up from this mistake and navigate yourself out of this and get back on course? And, and that's what I did. And so what I take a lot from the trail and bring into everyday life is the concept of navigation and the concept of, using a map and compass and finding your way. And sometimes you've got a machete out and you're breaking your own trail, and sometimes you're following a really well-worn path. But developing navigational tools in the wilderness, but also in life, so that you have some handrails. And navigational handrails, it's a term I really love, because if anyone remembers using a paper map and compass and all those squiggly lines that are topo lines, there's a term called navigational handrails. And so that's something like a river or a ridge or something that is really obvious. It doesn't change. So you're like, oh, I can keep that river on my left, and I know I'm going to sort of be going in the right direction. And you might be bumping around a little, but still your way is generally, you're staying on course with that compass and that navigational handrail. And so I've developed kind of some navigational handrails for choices in life. And that's based on the trail of, like, if I have a difficult decision in work, or I don't really know which way to go when I'm faced with something in my career, what are the navigational handrails that I use? And those are based on a little bit of a look back and an exercise I did of looking back of the times in my life that really worked, or I was really happy, or I achieved something that was really great. And I went and looked for themes. When this happened and I felt really great, how did that theme relate to that other time that I felt really great and that happened? And so I was able to develop kind of these life navigational handrails for myself. And they're pretty simple. And it's something I kind of encourage everyone to do, is develop your own navigational handrails. But mine are risk equals reward, passion equals payoff, give equals get, and less equals more. And so in life, if I am faced with something I don't know what to do, I go to those navigational handrails and I ask, is it kind of risky? Does it make my hands sweat? Is it kind of exciting? If so, those are often the things that turn out the best for me. And am I passionate about it? Do I really want to do this? Am I curious about it? Is there a giving aspect to it? And am I doing too much? Can I fit this in my life right now? So those 4 navigational handrails are mine. But anyone listening, if you go back to the liminal, pivotal moments in your life or big things that happen to you, look for themes. And those end up becoming basically your guideline, your handrail for your decision making. And I use it on the trail, but I also use it in life.
Powerful. Now, what has been your greatest win thus far? Because Rebecca, in addition to looking at these handrails that you've developed for living and the achievements that you've had, you've also done some pretty amazing things with film work and foundations. And I'm wondering, of all of these accomplishments, what has been the most important part of it for you?
I think that's a really good question. I mean, I'm proud of a lot of the stuff that I've done. And I will go back to your previous question. You asked, what do athletes learn and can take in? And that we are celebrating the wins and the world championships all the time. But what you don't show is that for every win, there's 10, 15, 20, 100 failures
Mm.
and that are the prerequisite to the win. And so we live in a society where everybody's supposed to be achieving all the time and winning all the time. But if you take the athletic template, one person wins and many people show up, but there's only one winner. And so all those other people, are they failures? Or the winner that's on the podium that week, you know that he or she or they had 20 failures leading up to that win. And so I think it's important to reinforce that we're not always winning, that it takes falling off your bike a bunch of times before it actually works. And we're always celebrating and putting, people on pedestals or celebrating the wins. But I think it's almost not to celebrate the losses, but to accept that they are part of the process of winning, is falling down quite a few times and getting up again and figuring it out.
What other pieces have you put in place in your life that really foster this high level of performance? I heard you mention a coach. Are there any other certain routines, mantras, practices that you do that almost kind of can predict your level of success, even though it's very unpredictable, I'm sure? But I mean, my goodness, everything that you've set out to do, you've you've overachieved it. And so I'm just wondering, like, there has to be some structural things in life that also really help you to create this.
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I mean, thank you for saying all those nice things about my achievements. But honestly, it's ultimately for all of us, it's like what makes you feel good, and for me, it's moving in the outdoors. And so if that isn't part of my life, I'm not a very happy person. I don't feel like I'm achieving. I'm not as great at my work or my writing or anything else if I don't have that stability each day, even if it's going out and walking my dogs outside and sitting by the river. Being outside in nature is a pretty important ritual for me, because I feel grounded out there and I feel connected. And I have started adding in things like meditation and some sound healing and upping my nutrition game and my sleep. So I do have some rituals like that what I think we're in a really exciting time right now where with wearable technology and with the science that we have behind sleep and nutrition, that we can actually know how our body is, are we optimizing our own health and longevity? And so, things like I use a program called Inside Tracker, and they're blood tests that you can take yourself. You don't have to wait to go to annual physical with your doctor. And so you can see if you have iron deficiency, or you can basically see on the inside what's going on the inside. And I really like where people are going right now with health and wellness and taking their own care into their own hands, of knowing I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. You kind of know it, but you can look at your watch and say, oh yeah, I didn't get good sleep last night. And you can make daily changes to accommodate that, instead of 20 years from now having heart disease or having something that we've been building for a long time. I love the fact that you can take your health into your own hands right now. And so I do have some rituals like that. Like, I really prioritize sleep. It's the one place where we recover and rejuvenate. It's our magic pill. So whatever you're doing to get not just long sleep, but quality sleep is super important. And I'm also changing my diet quite a bit. And, I've always eaten healthy, but I make a lot of my own food now, and I'm a little bit more educated on the types of nutrients that we need, not just for an athlete, but for humans in general. And I would encourage everyone, not everyone considers themselves an athlete, but look, we all have a physical body that is our suit that we get to move around in the world. And so taking care of that, whether you consider yourself an athlete or not, taking care of the package that you have to achieve your goals is super important. So, and it's part of my mission is to get people to move and to be outside, because both those things are really optimizing performance for, mind, body, spirit across the board.
Rebecca, these tips are going to change someone's life. They are so powerful. And I want to really just give you the opportunity to kind of add the cherry on top with leaving us one key takeaway that you'd like our audience to remember about pushing your body and mind beyond its limits.
I don't even like the word limit, I guess that's what I would really want to encourage people is that who said, at 53 you can't win the Iditarod, or who said at, this age or that age, or who said that you couldn't be an entrepreneur. And so I think that's what I would leave people with, is to continue to challenge yourself and continually evolve and learn and have that childlike curiosity. I mean, we all remember like when we learned to ride a bike or, something like that, when we learned to do something new and how exciting that was. And so continuing to know that you're going to fall off the bike, know there's going to be challenges, but making sure that you are continually putting yourself outside your comfort zone physically and emotionally, because on the other side of that, and people often call like the pain cave or something like that with physical endurance, but honestly, it's a pain tunnel. So the things that are hard, the things that you think are your limit or challenging, there's a tunnel on the other side of that is a more evolved, better version of who you are right now.
Mm. Rebecca, if you could look back and give your 10-year younger self any piece of advice, what would it be?
10 years ago, I would give myself the advice that I don't have to do it alone, to ask for help. And I think as strong, independent, entrepreneurial women, and me included, we often think, well, I can do that. I can figure that out. I got this. I'll just do it myself. It'll be easier to do it myself. And I think that's where I've made some of my biggest mistakes, is not asking for help. And the places where I do, like I have a coach that I train with. I'm now working with a nutritionist. You take your car to a mechanic, and you have someone help you design a website. I don't think I asked for help enough. I am now, but I find we are so willing to give help and lift other women up. It's exactly what this discussion is about and your work, but we don't often ask for help either. And I think that's a little bit more of an uncomfortable place for strong women. And so that would be my advice, is to ask for help, because people are there willing and waiting to say, yes, I can help you with that. Absolutely. And together we're going to all achieve our goals faster and with a little less struggle if we bond together and help each other out.
How can our audience find and support you? I know that people are picking up what you are putting down and would love to connect with you after this show. Please tell us how we can do that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, all my social handles are at Rebecca Rusch, RUSCH. And I've got a training program with my coach that we work on. I've got the film, the book. I'm recording my book in audio right now, and lots of ways you can join me. So yeah, connect on social media or on my website at RebeccaRusch.com. And I'd love to hear some stories that you can share and your listeners can share with their strategies or life strategies.
Oh, I love that. All right, guys, you got your homework for today. Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on the show, and I can't wait to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much. Be good.
You are listening to Lifestyle and Success with Dr. S, a talk show to help you rise in business success while designing a life that you don't need a vacation from. To subscribe to the show and never miss a beat, head to lifestyleandsuccesswithdrs.com.